Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 37. And today, on the day that we're recording it, may the 4th be with you. How well does that work?
Very well. Almost like we planned it. We didn't actually, but...
We didn't actually plan it. It has begun. What you can see behind me, what my body is casting, James, what is it?
Is that a shadow?
It is. It's a shadow of the galaxy. Shadow of the Galaxy spoiler season has officially, properly, actually for real started.
And we have a lot of spoilers to talk about.
Yep. So they did the aspect stream, the FFG. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. They discuss generally what the aspects are going to encompass this set. Released a lot of really cool stuff. But this episode is pretty much just going to be predominantly spoilers. Spice One is going to get a real workout. But we've got not what was the last amount? I think it was the most we've ever had before this episode was 18.
I believe so, yes.
And what if we added nearly 10 more on top of that?
27 spoilers to talk about. We're going to have to
gosh.
go through these quickly. We are going to get hung up on some because they're really cool. But you guys got to keep us in check, keep us moving along. Otherwise, it's going to be a 3-hour-long podcast.
Yeah, you got to tell us to move along.
Move along.
We will here and there talk about a few things when we get to cards that they mentioned in the aspect stream. But let's just dive into it. Let's dive into it with a Disney princess.
Absolutely.
Bo-Katan Kryze, Princess in Exile.
Absolutely. Our first official in-set leader that was revealed to us. This is a aggression hero. So we're going with the good guy Bo-Katan, not the bad guy Bo-Katan.
Wow, was Bo-Katan ever really bad? Just a terrorist.
But she is a leader. Her ability is that she, if you have attacked with a Mandalorian this turn, you may tap her and deal 1 damage to an enemy unit.
Pretty good. We're good. We got phones this episode as well because there's 27 cards. So, yeah. She is, of course, a Mandalorian. This is the way. She deploys on 6, and she gets that classic 4/7 stat line.
We do love the 4/7 stat line.
On her backside, she is fairly similar. Wait a minute. She is fairly similar. So on attack, you can deal 1 damage to a unit. If you attacked with another Mandalorian unit this phase, you can deal an additional damage. So she essentially comes like a mini Vader if you've attacked with 2 Mandalorians. It'd be really cool to see something like Rebel Assault for Mandalorians.
Oh, absolutely. I can see that coming through. This is definitely a card that is focused on doing something a little bit differently than what we've seen in previous kind of hero aggression units. And obviously this is kind of an aggression deck that is going to be taking that kind of board control.
Yeah, she's very mid-range.
Yeah, absolutely. And she kind of can be seen as having a very similar ability as Vader, except that you pings 1 automatically, but has a conditional 2nd, but you can ping it on something different. Yep. So say they have 2 wing leaders, you can swing with the Mandalorian, deploy her, swing with her, and go ping ping, kill both of them.
She's really efficient at getting rid of shields, and as we're going to see, a lot of Mandalorians have overwhelm, or have ways to get it. So it seems like Mandalorians are really promoting that warrior culture. They really want you to like punch your opponent's unit's board control, and then get incidental damage through based on that, which I absolutely love. I do actually think Bo's pretty good. I think a lot of people have said that she's probably meh, but I think that that's because her ability and where she sits in the meta is actually going to be heavily determined by the Mandalorians. So a few notable things. She does flip on 6, which is a bit of an awkward number sometimes.
The same thing as kind of Cassian flipping on 6, where it's just kind of like...
she's very similar to Cassian in general, like where those decks want to go, where they use aggressive aggro cards in a more fieldy, mid-rangey way.
Yeah.
So I think that she's probably the closest to Cassian in relation to like what we're seeing in set. Yeah. So that's at least my thoughts on her. She works real well with the Sabine 2 cost from set 1.
She works really well with a lot of Mandalorians
Yeah,
that we're going to be talking about a lot of them soon.
there's not a lot we can say about Bo right now, just because her ability once again, really is if the Mandalorians make it or break it.
Yeah.
And from what we've seen, they're a huge theme in the set.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a fleet lieutenant or wing leader for just Mandalorians in general.
And I would love to see some
I'd
Mandalorians with
like
ambush as well to be able to
ambush overwhelm Mandalorian.
to be able to get this kind of ball rolling on when you don't need to keep that board state to activate this ability. You have those options where you can just ambush it in and then ping it something for one.
In the stream, Tyler did confirm there'll be Mandalorians in all colors, but predominantly this set, Mandalorians will be taking the reins in colors of blue and red.
Makes sense from what we've seen.
Yep, makes a lot of sense.
Except that one yellow leader.
He's a bounty hunter. Subsequently named the Mandalorian. So all in all, I think a lot of people have been very harsh on Bo, and I think that we need to keep in mind that we don't know what she's actually capable of yet, because her toolbox isn't here yet. You could have the best mechanic in the world, but if they don't have a toolbox, they can't fix anything.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, not every leader is going to be the most meta thing you've ever seen in your life. This deck looks like it can be a lot of fun.
I really want to play Mandalorian.
You can play a lot of Mandalorians. You can have a lot of fun with it. You can make a really thematic deck, and that's like worst case scenario. This deck is going to be a fun deck to play with all your Mandalorians.
Notably,
it's not necessarily
notably a rare leader as well.
Yeah, usually when the rare leaders take those kind of very specific archetypes, it's like you have to play this archetype. So like limiting yourself to like you kind of gotta play Mandalorians to play this leader.
It's a requirement.
Does make that
a requirement to build around.
Yeah.
All in all, honestly, I'll probably give Bo a 3 out of 5 right now. I think she sits in the middle. Personally, I think she's going to go up a little bit, but we'll probably discuss that more in future when we get more Mandalorian cards, and most importantly, when we do our tier list for Set 2 leaders.
Absolutely.
Now, on to some Mandalorians.
Which I'd like to say, we did not do well enough for our tier list for Tier 1 leaders. I'm sure we'll go over that at some point and how wrong we were, but
I don't know. I think you're being a bit harsh. We did get quite a lot of them right, and at that point in the meta, we ended up having very similar trees to most people.
Yeah, I know. But it's just fun to make fun of ourselves.
Yeah, we're kind of wieners. So we're gonna cover off this episode because there's been a pretty specific trend in releases. First block you're gonna notice is Mandalorians. Second block is clones, and the third block is just general underworld bounty hunters. So next up we've got clan challenges. I love this card actually a lot.
This is a very cool card.
This
A
is
very
really
good looking
sweet
card.
Yeah. The artwork on this is so good. There's just all of the fellas, and they do keep coming. Look at them all. So this is a 5-cost aggression Mandalorian Trooper, 3/6 with Raid 3, and while this unit is upgraded, it gains Overwhelm. So there's that Overwhelm we were talking about.
Yep.
Bo-Katan would synergize with this in the sense where she's like, cool, start smacking leaders, getting damage on the base, and then I'll smack the base and ping damage over here.
Yeah, I'm ping damage on this, so every ping is an extra overwhelm damage, right? At the end of the day, like that's kind of where this, where I can kind of see this deck going, and it's like that kind of classic red of ping damage. There's a lot of like that hero red has really involved that ping damage, and adding in that aspect of overwhelm, I think is gonna be really interesting.
And yes, Grand Inquisitor players, you did hear that right. This is a 3/6 with Raid 3.
Oh boy.
Go!
This is very in a very similar vein to Seventh Sister.
It beats people up way harder than Seventh Sister.
I mean, it's a 5-cost 3/6.
I think
They're the same stat line.
Seventh Sister is the one you go for if you want to be doing board control, and this is the one you want to go for if you just want to be like, I'm gonna swing 6 at your base 3 times this turn.
Yeah, absolutely. This card by itself is a threat in Grand Inquisitor.
If this is out on the turn that GI flips and you don't do anything about it, including GI's attack for just these 2 cards with no resources spent, that is 21 damage. 6/6/6/3.
Yeah, if it's already out on the field so it's ready.
It's a 5 cost. GI flips at 6.
Yeah.
It's coming out the turn before. Like it's swing it for 6, pay 2, untap it, and then if you are running blue GI, put Resilient on this. It doesn't increase the power, but it increases the health, gives the unit overwhelm. Just start attacking the board. Kill like 3 things, deal a bunch of damage to their face as well. It's pretty wacky to do. Once again, I'll mention it. Entrenched, this set just seems to be an absolute powerhouse for putting on your own units.
Yeah, giving this overwhelm when it's entrenched is wild because it makes it a 9.
Here's my 9/9.
Like
here's my 9/9 overwhelm.
Yeah, it's like swing.
It is pretty interesting that set 1, Entrench has become a great piece of removal. And now I kind of get where the devs were coming from when they first were like, why would you ever want to put it on your opponent's units? Because probably from this set forward, so many units just would love Entrenched. Like, even Follower of the Way. Put Entrenched on Follower of the Way, and it just becomes a huge beat stick body that, you know, really works in Bo-Katan because, you know, you're just like beating things up. And honestly, running clan challenges in Bo-Katan, putting Entrenched on it, swinging for something, flipping bow, hitting a bunch of damage, pinging stuff around, like,
absolutely
works pretty good.
Works very good.
I think clan challenges is actually a really interesting card, very threatening in of itself. A 5 cost price tag is pretty big, but if you like, I think that this could definitely be the steadfast battalion of the set, especially if you can, like, you know, especially if you're going to ambush it in.
Yeah, like ambushing it in, you're never going to get that overwhelm damage, but still doing 6, like ambushing in and doing 6 to something for a 5 cost is actually a lot.
Notably, again, using cards like Snapshot Reflexes on this is really nice, because you can just be like, here he is.
Hotshot DL44.
Ooh, that would be nice too, smuggling that out. But yeah, any card like that, because I just like the idea of having it there and your opponent's like, okay, you know, I've got my big Sentinel, he'll have to swing this into it, and then you just go, cool, Snapshot Reflexes, 7 at the Sentinel, you take a bunch of damage to your base, and then they're suddenly like, oh my god, my plan, I was going to try to stop that attack and take no damage, but now this is happening, and Bo-Katan's out suddenly, and she's just princessing in exile everywhere.
I love my Bo-Katan princesses everywhere.
Yeah, this is so good. This is the way. I really like this card, and I definitely think it's one to keep your eye on. And also, not gonna lie, when you're drafting in this set and you're going Mandalorian heavy, for sure pick this one. This is a bomb. Yeah. This is a for sure bomb in draft. You're going to be grabbing your upgrades. You're going to be getting your This Is The Ways. Why not pay 2 and get this and the card that's going to give it overwhelm in draft? So all in all, I give clan challenges a 3.5, and if it's like in terms of draft, I'd probably give this like a 4. I think it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Sabine's friend next.
It is.
Ketsu Onyo.
Ketsu Onyo. So, Ketsu Onyo is a 2-cost aggression heroism unit. He's a 3/2 with Mandalorian Underworld Bounty Hunter. Man, this person has almost too many keywords to fit on the page.
Yeah, that's true. She's got that wolf vibe too. She's a 3/2 saboteur.
It's a 3/2 saboteur, but she has a bit of a different ability.
She's hero, which means she triggers 4 cores, I believe.
Also that. When this unit deals combat damage to a base, you may defeat an upgrade that costs 2 or less.
We've been talking about how good Entrenched is for removing your opponent's units and buffing units this set. This is a great card to see, to be able to be like, let's just not do that. Let's not put the Entrenched on the clan challenges.
Absolutely.
How about that?
Yeah, this is a case where we knew Red was kind of that upgrade hate, and we knew upgrade hate now turns into bounty hate, which is something that is very important. So this is a card where you play it turn 1, they try and put a bounty on something, you swing this into base, and you clear that bounty away, right?
Yeah, that's going to be
like
real big.
Stopping a lot of those kind of really heavy bounty plays that I feel like are going to be coming once we start to get more of those.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is going to be a huge card, especially because upgrades are just going to be really big. Funnily enough, former Mandalorian now counters the Mandalorian synergy, because she wants to destroy all of those upgrades. I mean, I believe she's a clan deserter and she works for the Black Sun now. I'm pretty sure is her whole thing. And she was a former friend to Sabine. So that's really interesting. You chuck her in your Sabine deck, she works really well. So Ketsu Onyo is a really interesting and very versatile card. This is one I think that we're going to see pretty predominantly in Mandalorian decks as a turn 1 play.
Yeah.
All in all, I give her a 3.5 out of 5. She's just cut and dry, very good. A 2-cost 3/2 saboteur is good. A 2-cost 3/2 saboteur destroying upgrades is great.
Yes, absolutely.
Next up,
We're just talking about Night Owl Skirmisher.
bit of
which is-
schmuggle.
Bit of schmuggle.
Little
or a
schmuggle.
This is a fairly standard card. I think this is going to be one of the more vanilla ones of the kind of.
I actually really don't mind this card.
It's a 3-cost aggression, heroism,
Triggers 4 claws, I
4/3.
believe in.
So this is the kind of very same. It's the same stat line as the
Swoopback Racer.
Swoopbike Racer, which is interesting. Which is a nice stat line to have. It's the same stat line, obviously, as the Echo-based Defender as well. It's a lot of damage to be coming down turn 2.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about this is Swoopbike Racer is fine. It's a cool card. It's interesting, and its biggest letdown is is the Underworld tag. Because there's nothing really that synergizes with that in set 1. In set 2, we've got a lot of stuff, so it might seem more predominantly. But a 3-cost 4/3 Mandalorian Trooper.
Both very, very important keywords.
Especially if we get something like a Wing Leader or for Mandalorians, or something like a Fleet Lieutenant for Mandalorians. This is a pretty good card. And then it also has my favorite keyword in the new set. I think it's your favorite keyword in the new set too, isn't it?
We'll
Or is yours
see.
Bounty?
I have not chosen yet.
That's fair. My favorite, I definitely love this. It is a Smuggle. Smuggle cost is 5, Aggression Hero. So, in the early game, you can put it down as a resource, and then when you're finding, you're starting to run out of that board presence, pay 5, flip out the Night Owl Skirmisher, bring her in, get her out there, get her beaten face. So, all in all, I like her just for the aggression potency.
And seeing the smuggle cost as 2 more of the base cost is kind of the average that we're seeing.
Yeah.
And that is very predominantly shown in a card we will see a little bit later on.
Oh my god, that's good. That's an exciting one. I'm so excited to talk about them. All in all, I give this card a 2.5 out of 5. I think there will probably be Mandalorians you want to run over it, but if you are thinking about doing what I'm doing and running a very overwhelm heavy hero Mandalorian heavy deck, and you're going to want to run 4 Claws, I believe in it, with your Bo-Katan, then definitely an include, because you're getting in with aggro, once again, triggering 4 Claws, I believe in, really good stuff. Next up, one big thing, we did get confirmed, Mandalorians aren't just heroes.
No!
They definitely aren't.
Villains as well.
They were villains, they've been villains for a lot of time, they've been heroes for a lot of time, just depends on a certain point of view. And in this point of view, we're looking at another Grand Inquisitor boy.
Oh,
Why don't you tell us about him, Mr. Grand
I
Inquisitor?
will. This is Death Watch Loyalist, and he is
Such a good card.
a 3-cost aggression villainy unit.
We-
He is a 3/3 Mandalorian trooper, which you might be saying, yep, 3-cost 3/3s, they're around.
Well,
We've got a lot of
Night
them.
Owl Skirmisher was a 4/3, so...
But let me tell you about his abilities.
So
they're
good.
very simple and they're very good.
So
He's
good.
got grit. We love grit. And he's got overwhelm.
He's so good!
This is a card that has so much potential and so much
So much
damage.
board control. This is like, honestly, this is a card GI just needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, swing into your base for 3, cool. Ping this guy for 2, untap him, he's suddenly a 5/1, kill something, overwhelm some damage to the base, or just swing at their base again and deal 8 damage? What?
Yep.
That's wacky!
Absolutely. Like, this is a card that is going to be fantastic in Grand Inquisitor.
That's so good.
Especially, like, if we end up getting any sort of upgrades that are 0/0 upgrades that give grit and stuff like that, that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And I feel like that'd definitely be a really cool thing to see, or like a 0/2 with grit, with
Yeah.
raid 2.
Even,
and
like-
to make that be able to be untapped and do even more damage is just going to be crazy.
There's just... Mandalorian is just popping off. And this is really interesting as well to talk about because this unit's just generally very good.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're running Red Villain, this is a pretty great include into a board controlling mid-range villain deck. It is also a good catalyst for something that I'd like to talk about. This leads into something that was mentioned, that Mandalorians are villains and that they will receive support as well. So, we could potentially be seeing a villain Mandalorian leader. My current contenders for that synergy are Gar Saxon or Pre Vizsla. Or Maul.
Yeah, we have seen the Maul artwork. We could be seeing Maul as an actually Mandalorian leader.
I think it'd be really cool to see him be a rare leader that synergizes with Underworld and Mandalorian. And
that'd be
has
really
as
interesting.
As a synergy for those keywords, so that way you can build a really interesting deck. Because he's a Crime Lord at the same time he is the King of Mandalore.
I would love to see something where he actually kills your Mandalorians or Underworld
really
units
cool.
and does like an
does some
ability,
stuff.
kind of similar to Palpatine, kind of in a way,
That'd be really cool.
or just damages them. So like all this grit and stuff,
I'm getting
goes
I'm
off.
getting a feeling that Maul might be a leader with grit. But we'll just have to wait and see.
I mean,
that
it
would
kind
be
of fits
really cool too.
It kind of fits thematically for him.
All in all, Deathwatch Loyalist, I think this card is just generally really good.
Very nice artwork too.
Yeah, I saw someone say that this was very reminiscent of like the early like 80s, 90s comics and how they think that set 2's art, like I know a lot of people enjoy pooping on Star Wars Unlimited art, and we here at the Spy Squadron tell those people,
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
but a lot of those people have changed their tune with set 2, which is fantastic and awesome, and I love it, and welcome to the club that you finally see the artwork's good. But now
Always
that
has been, baby.
now that you're in the club, the same artists, they're the same artists from set 1. They've done this before. It's just stuff that you might like more now.
Yeah.
But all in all, the artwork, they absolutely slap it. All the Mandalorians look so good. Like, they're all so cool. So I will give this Deathwatch Loyalist a 4 out of 5. I just think this is such a solid villain unit.
Yeah.
Such a solid board control unit. Such a solid aggression unit. Really good flex for mid-range. Next up, we got Cosca Reeves, Loyal Night Owl. This is, I believe this is like Bo-Katan's, I can't remember, like Surf, sort of like a little protege in the Mandalorian. So she's a 4-cost aggression hero, triggers fire for 4 costs, I believe in 4/5 Mandalorian trooper. That's a really good stat line for a 4-cost. That's a Kanan stat.
That's a Kanan stat line, and we know
Kanan mentioned.
We know that Kanan stat line is a good stat line.
It is, and she has a pretty cool ability. Once again, we know that she's a Mandalorian trooper too. Once again, we know that Mandalorians, they love weapons. Din Djarin once said, "It's part of my religion." So on attack, if this unit is upgraded, you may deal 2 damage to a ground unit.
Seems good.
You know, if you've got Cosca Reeves with an upgrade on her, and you've got a Clan Challengers out there, seems like it works well, because you can just swing, ping for 2, swing your Clan Challengers into it, get a bunch of overwhelm damage, and also, once again, synergizes very nicely with Bo-Katan leader. You know, put a snapshot reflexes on her, swing for base, ping 2 for that, you know, tap Bo, deal the 3rd damage.
Yeah, make her a 5/6 even. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can do with her, and I think as a 4-cost, she sits in that really nice spot of being able to be removed, but only being able to be removed by like very specific things.
Yeah.
Like when being out of that open fire range and having to spend that takedown or that force choke on her is really important. And we've seen Kanan be quite sticky in this game.
Yep.
So
it's just a difficult stat line, and then especially when she's not upgraded, people aren't going to want to use removal on her. And then when you finally upgrade her, they'll be like, I really wish I saved that removal. Because she's not upgraded, so she's just a 4/5. But then when you upgrade her, she's then out of the bracket of takedown, she's out of the bracket of force choke.
Yep.
So she's suddenly just there now, and then you either have to remove the upgrade and then do it, or use a vanquish on her or something. So she just becomes a real problem. And once again, I think people have underestimated how powerful upgrades are because we haven't seen the utilization for them. Now that they have a place in the meta, I think it's going to be a really big deal for people to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So honestly, Cosca Reeves is really interesting. I'm going to give her a 3 out of 5 on the Spiceometer. Next up is a card I'm very excited to talk about.
Oh, yes. Speaking of really nice artwork as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, awesome artwork. This is Ruthlessness. This is a
Speaking of upgrades.
1-cost aggression villain upgrade that gives +2/+0 to a unit, and when the attached unit gains, when this unit attacks and defeats a unit, deal 2 damage to the defending player's base.
So this is coming across as the same sort of thing as that hero deck, right?
So
We're
good.
focusing on this overwhelm as a mechanic in this set. I think overwhelm, like dealing damage with overwhelm, is no longer something that's like, hey, you get a thing every now and then. I think we're moving into a realm where a lot of your damage is coming from overwhelm.
Yep, a lot of this is going to be this meta is going to be very centric, I think, around upgrades and then trading up into units. So I think that we talked about, I actually think that red-blue Iden deck is going to get a bit of a run for its money. I know a lot of people out there are like, how do you beat it? Aggro, playing units. And this new set is all like, play your units, make them a problem. So by the time that Iden has a chance to remove them, they're already a problem. Or Vader has a chance to remove them, they're a problem.
Absolutely.
Your opponent flips their Vader. Your 9/9 clan challenger goes, hello, Dark Lord of the Sith. Let me at ya.
Yeah, absolutely. And this card is one of those cards that is essentially a... and yes, you can just be like, swing into this, clear it, do 2 damage. But it's also a thing of like, do +2 overwhelm damage.
So
Do +2 overwhelm damage.
Yeah.
Do +2, like it's one of those things where when you're swinging with that overwhelm, it's just adding another bump to that.
Let's go back for a sec. Deathwatch Loyalist. You've got a 2/2 on board. I swing at you for 5. You take 3 and then 2 to your damage. I've just essentially attacked your base and killed something.
Exactly, and that's what this facilitates, that kind of board control.
And then he gets bigger
while
it becomes
getting
a
that
7
chip damage.
because he's
Yeah.
Grit.
So now you like have to remove him, or he's swinging in base for 7 next turn.
I
right?
think Ruthlessness is like a really, really good upgrade because like no matter what you put it on, it's good, man. Put it on Clan Challenges, boom! Suddenly you've got yourself a what's that? A 7/6 overwhelm. If it kills something, deal 2 damage to the base. Yep. Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Give it to me.
That would be awesome. I think Ruthlessness is going to be actually one of the bigger cards we see, especially in just like. Because there are already, like, put this on Vader. Imagine putting this on Vader.
Yeah. Put this on Palpatine.
Because if you put this onto Darth Vader, when this unit attacks and defeats a unit, if he pings something and kills it, because he attacked and defeated a unit with his skills. So technically, I'm pretty sure that's how it works, right? So if I attacked with Darth Vader with this upgrade, and I pinged a 2/2, killed it, I attacked and defeated a unit.
No, so you attack when this unit attacks and defeats a unit. So it has to attack a unit as well as defeat a unit.
Drat. I was so
So if you attack into the unit and killed it before, like you wouldn't take combat damage and deal 2 to base.
That's still really good.
But you do need to attack and defeat the units. You can't attack into something else and defeat a unit.
Very nice. Give it to one of your many leaders with overwhelm, like Moff Gideon. That works good. So I'm gonna give that one a 4 out of 5. But now, I've been looking forward to talking about these boys.
I'm gonna let you talk. I'm gonna let you talk through this one.
The batch is here. Here he is. Here is Hunter. Here is our glorious outcast sergeant, our first green hero leader, with frankly a really weird ability. And I'm a fan of it. Action, pay 1. Reveal a resource you control. If it shares a name with a friendly unique unit, return the resource to its owner's hand and put the top card of your deck into play. A type of situational card draw that revolves around you using unique units in your deck.
Yeah.
Something that I think is very interesting, especially if we see a lot of units that, for instance, if we see a really powerful Hunter Legendary, if I have the Hunter unit on board and attack, and I've resourced one, I can go, well, hey, look, I have a Hunter. Here's my Hunter.
You can also say, if you have the Hunter leader on board, because whenever they're looking for names, they're just looking for that top name. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Because his backside, so his epic action, he flips at 7, and just like Darth Vader, who flips at 7, he's a 5/8 overwhelm.
Well, overwhelm, not like Vader. He has that overwhelm. Talking about things with overwhelm doing a lot of damage. A 5/8 leader with overwhelm with all the upgrades in
put
this set.
entrenched on him.
I don't care what his ability
Put
is.
it
He could have no ability for all I care.
that's really
but this
good.
this man is a 5'8" with overwhelm. Sure.
So cool. His on attack is the same. You may reveal a resource you control if it shares the name of the friendly unique unit. Put it in your place. This is exactly what James is saying. We could get, Hunter single father as a legendary in the set. And if I attack with Hunter Outcast Sergeant, reveal it from my resources, I go, hey, look at this, everyone. I have a Hunter, so I can add it to my hand.
They play it.
He's a fringe clone. Currently, see, I think this leader has a lot of potential, and just like the other leader we've talked about, it really depends on what else is in the set for him. And there's we've seen I think like every other member of the batch now, which we'll go through in a moment. And
except the ship.
the Marauder, true, and the Hunter, if there's a Hunter legendary or card in the set. I'm very much reaching and assuming we're getting a Hunter legendary. This is me coping. I really want a Hunter legendary, so I'm just manifest destiny, being put it out there in the universe, give me a Hunter legendary. Probably not going to happen, but fringe clone as well. You'll notice that that's a trend. But it really depends. There's currently two members of the batch synergize with him, and the others are all of them are generally toolbox units, which I think really fits to the batch's theme. They're all unique individuals, and they all have unique individual units that have all just good applicable skills. Hunter, this is very biased, but I'm giving him a 4 out of 5. I think his stat line is absurd. He's in the ramp colors, so now we actually have a really good tangible hero ramp deck. I know.
Yeah, it's something that we didn't have before. We had the Vader and the Palpatine on the villain side, but the hero side just kind of hadn't seen it yet.
I know Han is really good, but I think with Hunter, it opens up an avenue for people who are I really like green blue Krennic or ramp like that. Now we actually you could just play green blue Hunter ramp and just get him out there, load him up with a bunch of upgrades and guns, and just punch face while you're restoring left, right, and center and controlling with your other pieces. So we could definitely see that as a deck. So I love it. Also the artwork's gorgeous.
I'd say I would be scared if someone played a Luke, then swung with their Hunter and showed me a Luke from their resources and said, putting this back in hand, thanks.
Yep.
And go, but I want to remove that Luke. And they go, okay, go on.
Yeah, that's really rough. Oh, notably as well, for those of you who might be confused, on the front side, you can tap the resource and then reveal the tapped resource as the character you want to add.
Yes, absolutely.
You don't have to be I tapped this one and reveal this active one. I would always recommend tap the one that you're going to add back.
Because the one that comes back, when it gets replaced, it does get replaced exhausted, as all energy does come in with exhausted.
Next up, a card that looks like Tamira Morrison. I guess there's going to be a lot of characters that look like Tamira Morrison, actually. Clone Deserter. Why don't you unravel this one for us?
Yes, this is a very interesting one. This is a 1-cost command heroism card. This is... we've seen this in the Clone Wars. We also saw in the Bad Batch in that second episode. This is the clone that I can't remember what.
It's not Cutler Queen.
Oh, isn't it?
No.
Oh no, it's a different one.
It's just a general.
My apologies.
Clone
I thought it
Deserter.
was.
I mean, Cutler Queen falls into that grouping. It's just this clone is just one of the many who were don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And if you've watched the Bad Batch, that's a general underlying theme of clones choosing freedom and living their lives the way they want to, and a clone deserter, I guess, is one of those.
So he's a 1-cost 2/3 with a fringe and clone. We're going to see him in that a lot. Yep. He has Restore 1.
That's really good.
And Bounty, draw a card.
So he's essentially...
This Bounty draw a card is not done. They have said that there is at least another card with Bounty draw a card, and I think this is going to be one of those things that, obviously, for a 1-cost, he is overstated and he has Restore.
I believe Tyler mentioned that this is going to be a cycle of cards, not just in Hero, but there's going to be a lot of 1-cost 2/3 ability Bounty drawer cards.
Yeah.
In it's just a general, a draft cycle, similar to what we've seen. For those of you who don't know, we did talk about it earlier in set 1. A cycle refers to a group of cards that have similar abilities or are linked in a similar way in the set. So if we got 5, or we got 6, 3 villain, 1-drop 2/3s, 3 hero, 1-drop 2/3s, that would be a cycle of 2/3s with bounty, draw a card.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about it in a little bit, but there's a card that really synergizes with your opponent playing these overcosted cards and can punish them for it. We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah. I like Restored Arc 170.
I do too.
I like a 1-cost Restored Arc 170.
I do too.
I really like this card. I do think that draw a card bounty is worth it. Especially if you're playing green blue loot. Alright, pay 1, turn 1, put a shield on him.
Yep.
I've got a shielded restore 1,
2, 3.
That's awesome. And if
Very
you go
good.
through
Especially...
the effort to kill it, you deserve the card. You deserve it.
You've earned
it.
No, absolutely very good card. But now,
I'm going to give this guy... I genuinely really like this. I say keep an eye on this card. I say don't let the bounty discourage you. This is generally really good. 4 out of 5.
Now we're going to be moving into the actual batch themselves. Some really interesting cards here. We're going to start it off with Tech. Now,
I know you want to talk about this, boy.
Is a heroism card.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. Just heroism. He is a 2/5 3-cost.
That is a good stat line.
And there's a reason why he has such a big booty for a 3-cost.
He's a fringe clone.
He's a fringe clone. His ability is each friendly resource gains smuggle. The gained smuggle cost is that card's cost +2 and its aspect icons.
So that's what you were talking about earlier with the Night Owl Skirmisher being a 3-cost 5 smuggle. Well, there you go. On average, that kind of is where it curves out.
Yeah.
And Tech's a really good example of that.
So
he also has smuggle.
He also has smuggle. His smuggle is only 1 cost higher than he is. So a little bit of a cheeky...
smuggle 4 hero.
Yep. But the thing with this is essentially, if you didn't really understand what I was saying, it means every single card has smuggle.
So good.
Every single card in your resources has smuggle, but you just essentially it's paying 2 more to play it from your resources.
This is great. I'm running a deck with Hunter. I include Tech because I'm going to be. Whenever you smuggle, remember you don't have a choice at what you replace. Your Tech makes your resources your hand. With this card, you lose no hand advantage ever. Ever.
Yeah. You're able to play whatever you want. You can play Snapshot Reflexes for 3 from your resources. Oh, well, that's DL44. That's just another copy of DL44 now.
Yep. That's
good. You can play Surprise Strike for 4 from your resources, coming out of nowhere. You can play a Luke for 9. Like, yes, it does cost more, but do not underestimate the ability to not be spending cards from hand whenever you need to for any card.
As a good point of reference. Vigilance costs 4, but we pay 6 for it because it's just that good. There are a lot of cards that people are happy to pay extra for, and being able to not lose hand advantage with Tech is pretty sweet. My favorite part, and after a few comments made during the stream, I think very intentional. This card is specifically just a hero for a very important reason. Yes, absolutely. I think we're going to see a lot of leaders in this set. Not just Hunter, but I think we're going to see maybe 1 or 2 other leaders that are specifically smuggle-centric, or decks that want that, and being able to run Echo in them is going to be huge.
Yeah, Echo is a card that is going to be really fun. Tech is going to be a card that is going to be really fun running in with the Bad Batch.
They look the same.
It is... They don't.
No, you're right, they don't.
They... and really fun running with the Batch. But it's also going to be one of probably 2 that are going to be very heavily used in other decks as well.
I agree. I think a lot of people have seen this card and underestimated it. I think it's very, very good. I think that this is going to become a mid-range staple. I'm going to give Tech a 5 out of 5. I think his toolbox ability is absolutely incredible. And I'm like, again, subject to change, but I'm just gonna say it. Just you wait for when we get all of the other cards out, and that everyone's like, Tech. My opinion, Tech's already really good.
A 5 health is hard to deal with on the turn that he drops.
Imagine
as well.
being at 9 resources and your opponent just goes, Luke?
Yep.
And you're like, neat. Next up, here she is.
Here she is.
Here she is.
It is a 2-cost cunning heroism.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Omega. She is a 2/2 fringe clone.
Classic.
And her ability, I'm going to make sure I'm reading this right.
She's got 2
Ignore the
abilities.
aspect penalty for the first clone unit you play each round.
Really cool.
Very cool. When played, search the top 5 of your deck for a clone card, reveal it, and draw it. This is a tutor for clones.
Super
Makes
cool.
sense.
Great in the batch. Hey, James.
Mm-hmm.
What's set 3?
Ooh, I believe that is... I've actually forgotten the name of this set 3.
Twilight of the Republic.
That's
right?
the one, yeah.
What's the era of that set? The something wars. Is it the Clone Wars?
It is the Clone
And we
Wars.
just got a 2-cost that says I don't have to pay aspect penalty costs for my clones, and I also get to search them out.
Yep.
This card is already good because the batch cards are interesting, and being able to search them out is good. And next set, we literally have a set that will be focused around the Clone Wars.
Absolutely. This card is going to... is
probably
probably
really
going to be decent now. I think it's just going to get better and better and
Yeah.
better and better and better.
I can't see this card not being run next set.
Yeah,
I
no,
can't
absolutely.
see this card not being run in any bad batch deck that you're already building. I think she's really good. I'm definitely excited to see what a yellow-green bad batch deck looks like. I feel like I definitely wish she was just hero, but I think that might have actually been too strong. I think because like next set, if depending on what clones we get, if we just had a 2-cost unmitigated shooter,
Yeah.
that would be crazy. So I already really like her. I think she works really cool in the set. So I'm going to give her a 3.5 out of 5.
That is fair.
I think that in set right now, she works really well. And I just can't see her not getting better with next set for more clones.
No, absolutely.
Um,
We got to keep moving, unfortunately. We got a lot more cards to go through and not a
Here
lot of time
here
left.
he is.
We got to keep moving.
Here he is.
Oh, he's so... Echo is going to be very,
actually
very,
so
very
good. He's
interesting.
actually really good.
He is a 4-cost command hero, 4/4 fringe clone
So he's on curve with his stats.
with Restore 2.
That's so good.
Now is where it gets
Oh, this is
interesting.
going to be so good.
When played, you may discard a card from your hand, give 2 XP to a unit in play with the same name as the discarded card. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so my Luke that I've played, my 7-cost Luke, I can start a Luke from my hand, give him +2/+2. So it's good. It's a situational wing leader. One of the biggest things about this is the ruling that we had for regional governor, in that when it's stating the name, it is stating that top name,
Just the top,
not the subtitle.
Not the subtitle.
So I flip Sabine on turn 4. I'm playing,
Play Echo.
and then I play Echo. I discard the 2-cost unit Sabine from my hand and give +2/+2 to my
Is that
Sabine
a
leader.
4/7? And you just got a 4/4 restore. So you got a wing leader who's way better, who restores 2, who just made your leader a 4/7.
This card is going to be so versatile in so many decks
So good.
because pretty much all the leaders have their own units as well. And so this card is the card that facilitates that and really promotes running multiple of the same
It's also from the beginning they said, hey, one day you're going to be able to run your whoops all Luke decks, whoops all this. Echo just goes in them. You just put Echo in them.
Yeah,
Oh, this is
absolutely.
my deck. It's all Kanan and 3 Echo because I'm going to play this Kanan to discard this Kanan to buff this Kanan. Like, he's good. He's really, really good. And once again, Please let this be a precursor to me getting a Hunter Legendary. Please, please manifest destiny. I want to discard Hunter to buff Hunter.
To make him a 7/10.
7/10 Overwhelm. Because the batch is family and they help each other. This is what I want. But honestly, not going to lie, just straight up from all of them that we've seen so far, even Crosshair included, this is the most versatile and powerful member of the batch.
Absolutely. This is really, really good.
This guy is a 5 out of 5 for sure, because he goes into any green hero deck that synergizes with utilizing multiple uniques of the same name, and he is even better in decks that are going to include a legendary or a unit that includes the same name as one we currently have. Hey, you're playing yellow-green layer mid-range? Great. Why don't you discard your 2/2 layer to buff up your layer, make her a 5/8.
Yep.
And get a 4/4 Restore 2 out of it. The 4/4 Restore 2 is nuts. And even if you play Echo and discard another Echo, he's a 6/6 Restore 2.
Yep.
So I give him a 5
So
out of
should
5.
be like ambushing him in,
Yeah.
restoring 2, making him a 6/6 by discarding another Echo. Oh, crazy.
I give him a 5. I give him 5 out of 5. I
Yeah.
don't think I can't not. He's too good.
Very, very good.
Here he is. We saw this subtitle from Tyler's list, and we were like, this is him.
Yeah.
It's Wrecker, baby.
Oh, it's Wrecker, baby. We got this just this morning. And he is a 6-cost aggression heroism.
4 cause, I believe.
He is a 7/6 with overwhelm
What is he?
fringe climb.
Oh, okay, cool. So just checking.
When played, you may defeat a friendly resource to deal 5 damage to a ground unit. This is a card that comes in, and you want to be putting that ECL
Yeah, I
onto
wanna
him.
ECL
You want to
this
be
guy.
giving him that ambush from that. I can't remember what the card is called that we got.
Oh,
the
yeah.
smuggle card.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Timely intervention?
Timely intervention. Yes, you timely intervention Wrecker in and just...
Because
even
he
sneak attacking him in.
even sneak attacking him, yeah, absolutely.
Sneak attacking him with revive.
Yeah, he is a. You put him down, you destroy one of your resources, you go, I'm going to deal 5 to that, and then I'm going to slam Wrecker into it and overwhelm 4 damage and defeat him.
I just like ambushing this into, like, Boba Fett leaders.
Oh.
Krennic leaders. Be like, wow, gotcha. Be like, here he is, ping 5.
Honestly, a 7 damage is so
7 damage
much.
is heaps.
And like, yeah,
Mace
it's like,
Windu,
oh,
Mace Windu has 7 damage. Oh no, Mace Windu has 5.
Mace Windu has
and 7,
5.
and 7 health. Mace Windu got far out. That's really good. This guy can one-shot Palpatine if you ambush him.
He can one-shot Palpatine and do 4 damage over.
This is the only.
Yeah,
only,
he can do
yeah.
it. He can
Yeah.
do 4 damage overwhelm.
Yep. This card is the only card in the game that if you ambush it with ECL, it can kill every single leader in the game.
This card
Even
can.
Iden, because it pings the shield off and then just hits her.
This card can kill any unit in the game.
It's so cool. Except for Devastator.
I mean, if it could swing into space, it could kill Devastator.
It could. This can kill any ground unit in the game if you ECL it in, and can kill any leader in the game if you ECL it in. Because the damage will get rid of the shield, and then you're just punching. And there's nothing that has that 10 health just straight up except for Devastator. Nothing that's got... And it, like, if it's got 8 health, great. It's taken 5 first.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you just destroy one of your resources, and anything is dead. It's like one of those situations where it's like, I've put my leader to 12 health, and you're like, cool, ambush Wrecker in, kill it.
Kill him. Get him out of here.
I'll destroy one of my resources, sure. It's dead.
I really love Wrecker. Red clone, but if you're running Omega, he is just a 6 cost because if he's the first clone you play. And again, synergizing with a Hunter leader, you might be thinking, I just don't want him to wait around in my hand. Well, he doesn't have to. You can put him in your resources. If you've got tech, you can smuggle him out.
Absolutely. This is a fantastic card. This is so good.
This is a really great card. This is a good addition to Red Hero.
Yeah.
Honestly, I give it a 4.5 out of 5. I think he's really, really solid. I think the 6 cost price tag is a bit rough, but man, it's just so worth it.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got the fellas.
We got another group of fellas. We got another group
Tag
of
yourself.
fellas.
I'm definitely the scared-looking Rhodian.
Ooh. I am.
I'm going, oh, no.
I'm the little devil all the way on the left-hand side because everyone else got blasters. I've just got like a pointy
the
stick, and I'm just
Deveronian,
like,
and I'm going,
oh, he does not look like he's having a good time.
No, look, if you look at most of them, don't look like they're having a good time. Actually, they're all kind of like, but I suppose that if they're covetous rivals, they're probably facing down another bounty hunter, and as we know from Star Wars, those guys are awesome and scary.
So it's a 6-cost mono aggression 5/5 bounty hunter with grit. We love it. When played / on attack, we love it. You may deal 2 damage to you with bounty. So this is bounty hate. We're going to get a lot of this, especially in red.
We were just talking about ECL. ECL this guy in and deal 4 damage to a bounty unit. And in a deck like if you could run if you're running like the upgrade cards that we know are going to give bounty to things, and then you just have a way to just ambush this in and just be like, I'm going to kill that unit.
Mm-hmm.
Kill that unit by pinging it.
And then untap 2 with that bounty.
Collect the bounty, and then this guy hit that guy, so he's grit, so he's going to get bigger.
Yeah.
Like, that's really, really good.
Very, very, very good.
Good for 6. Honestly, these 6-cost aggression units are just like bangers. Like, we've got the 5-cost clan challenges, 6-cost covetous rivals, Wrecker. Like, these guys are all really good. This card, though, 100% is going to be a house in draft.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just going to be a huge card in draft. So I give this card, I think, a 2.5 out of 5. Applicability, it's interesting. Depending on how much bounty is relevant in the format, we can see this go up. Definitely a draft bomb.
Now we're talking about Reptile Hunter. This is the card I was talking about before.
This card actually probably is going to be pretty good in constructed.
This is a 3-cost mono command 3/4. Good stat line for a 3-cost. Mm-hmm. But it's coming in possibly a turn earlier with if the enemy has bounty. If an enemy unit has bounty, this unit is what costs 1 less to play. So
I play my Clone Deserter.
I tap 2 and play this, and you go.
But he can kill my Clone Deserter just like straight up.
Yeah, sure can.
And you draw.
And then I draw a card.
And he still lives.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is a card that don't get us wrong. The cards with the bounty draw a card are very good cards. They've come in for a reason. This is the card that takes the other side of that.
It is something. A, bounty hunters in the set. Hell yeah, gotta hunt bounties somehow. And B, if you're gonna introduce a mechanic, you can't just have no outs to that mechanic, because then that mechanic just rules, right? Like it either rules or it becomes rough. And if you give overstated units with minor abilities but no actual way to really properly deal with them aside from, just kill them, which can be difficult because they're overstated, you are going to be finding yourself run away. So I think this is going to be, if bounty becomes huge and those 1-cost bounty become huge, this is 100% going to be a card we just see mainboarded or sideboarded.
Absolutely.
People are going to be like, I'm running my bounty deck. Cool. Well, I've got 3 3/4s coming out turn 2, turn 1. Like, I definitely think that.
Even a 3-cost 3/4 bounty hunter is going to have some applicable.
There's going to be bounty hunter like synergies in the set anyway. So just having even if we get a Veers, if we get like a Veers or Dodonna for bounty hunters, I'm going to run a 4/5 for 3. That's so good. Potentially less if you have bounty. I'm going to be running a deck that's going to be including bounty anyway. Din Djarin Green. Run ECL, run Din. Hey, I'm going to put my 0-cost on that unit, turn 1. And then play this.
Yep.
You could ambush. Honestly, oh wow! If you want, like, that's actually not bad. Someone plays their turn 1 card. You put the bounty on it, tap it down, and then ambush ECL in turn 1.
What if it's they play the 1-cost with draw a card?
And
you put that ambush in, draw a card, untap 2,
and untap 2, and then you start the game with 2 units on board, and they've got none. Hello? That's incredible.
Yeah, this is a very good card, and this is going to be a very interesting card.
Also, the art's so sick.
Yeah, I do like the art.
I like the usage of browns a lot, and it doesn't detract from the art. It makes it look like a really cool, formidable character. So, guys, honestly, 4 out of 5. This is going to be a card that we're going to see. We already have seen a lot of bounty. We know more's coming.
Speaking of high-costed, good mono aggression units.
And bounty hunters. Here, another absolute banging mid-range aggression unit?
Yeah.
Wow, this set just keeps on giving.
5-cost mono aggression IG11.
Do you know something really interesting about
I
this?
cannot be captured,
Yeah.
and
Did
tell
you-
you what,
yeah.
you don't want to try.
Manufacturer's protocol dictates.
Cannot be captured. He is a 5-cost mono aggression, 6/5. He's droid bounty hunter, and his ability is if this card would be captured, defeat him and deal 3 damage to each enemy ground
He
unit instead.
self-destructs!
I don't.
So thematic.
I cannot be
It's so
captured.
thematic. Oh.
But
that's
then,
not all.
That's not all, because on attack you may deal 3 damage to a damaged ground unit.
This is so good. One thing I really like that I'm going to point out is this card's thematic in so many senses. He can't be captured, so he's going to self-destruct. He's got the ability where he comes in, he starts blasting fellas, and like the IG-88 leader, he has that stat line where his attack is 1 more than his health, which I think is really cool. I think this unit is really sweet. I think it's honestly so fun,
And this really comes in very synergistic with actually the Bo-Katan leader. Bo-Katan leader being able to ping 1 damage onto things, and then suddenly this guy's come down, and every time he attacks, he's just finishing them all off.
Notably as well, it's not if it's captured by your opponent's effects. So if you're dealing with...
Board wipe?
You can attack their base for 6, and then just go, I'm going to capture him. And then blow everything up. Which actually works really well with the card we're going to talk about in a second. It's literally next. So I really want to talk about this interesting interaction because I think that is actually really solid with him.
Yeah.
So I give IG-88 a 4.5 out of 5. IG-11, sorry, a 4 out of 5. Once again, so good. But this, I actually think, is probably going to be one of the best removal cards in the game.
Take it away.
This is Relentless Pursuit. It is a tactic. It costs 3 cunning. The artwork is absolutely baller. It is Cad Bane, and he's in like his hoity-toity cowboy position. Choose a friendly unit. It captures an enemy non-leader unit that costs the same or less than it. If the friendly unit is a bounty hunter, give a shield token to it. So, if your opponent has IG-11, you can capture it. It blows up, but you put the shield token onto your guy, so you board wipe the board and you keep your guy. And not to mention, there are going to be other ways to capture other units. So if you somehow want to, you could just capture IG-11 if you really want to and board wipe. But this is huge for a number of reasons. Let's say your opponent plays a 2-cost a bounty turn 1. Great. I'm going to play Reputable Bounty Hunter. And turn 2,
they play something else.
They play something else and they buff that turn 1 play. Like let's pretend there's like a wing leader for clones in this set, right? And they go Fringe Clone, put a shield on him with Luke, turn 2, buff him up. And then you go, cool, pay 3. I'm going to capture him. He loses everything.
Yep.
I draw a card. And my bounty hunter gets a shield. Yep. Not even that. Let's take it from a perspective of cards we already have. James here is playing Sabine.
Hello.
He plays A-Wing. I play Crafty Smuggler. He plays Wing Leader. And then I pay 3, and I put it under my 2/2 shielded unit.
Oh,
and now he just doesn't have A-Wing anymore. Its experience counters are gone, and he has to deal with a 2/2 shielded on the ground, and he's just invested 2 units into space. That's really good. This is really good in the Mandalorian, because you can capture a unit that costs 6 or less, and then put a shield on your leader. Then if you put the rifle onto him, you capture another unit, and you've got a 7/7 shielded.
Can't vanquish that.
I mean, yeah, they get their units back when you kill him. It's a 7/7 shielded guy. Come on, like, I think this is really good, and importantly as well, as I stated earlier, doesn't have to be in the same arena. I think this is going to be. I genuinely believe that this is going to be one of the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, imagine catching something like, oh, I'm going to capture that unit, put it under my Boba Fett legendary. I'll put it under my Boba Fett leader.
Now, moving on from that, we have a very similar
I give it a
card.
5 out of 5.
It is take captive. It is the 3-cost command version of this card.
Poor Obi-Wan.
And it just says a friendly unit captures an enemy unit in the same arena. Now it is limited to the same arena, but it is no longer limited by that cost.
No.
So your 2-cost can take their
Your A-Wing can capture Devastator.
Yeah, your A-Wing can capture that Devastator. It is no
really
longer
funny.
bound by any sort of cost related, but it also has a couple downsides. It's kind of like the same thing. I think in general it's probably a little bit worse because you can't get that shield. But at the end of the day, I think it's still a solid card. It's still a solid.
It's going to be really good in draft, I think.
Yeah.
But again, 2.5 out of 5. I just think Relentless Pursuit's so good because there's already a number of really good bounty hunters. Like, once again, putting a shield onto your Boba Fett leader.
There's so many more cards.
Yes. We have Pirate Battle Tank up next. This is a 6-cost villain green 4/6 underworld vehicle tank Sentinel.
With a smuggle cost of, is it 7? 7.
Yeah.
So a nice a Sentinel that you can play out, or you can play from the smuggle. A decently statted Sentinel.
Hondo tank.
Hondo tank.
Hondo tank. Pretty interesting, decent. Again, probably a draft card, so I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 5.
A what?
Sorry. I was thinking about smuggle 2.5.
You heard it here, folks. The Pirate Battle Tank, 7.5 out of 5.
Because it's Hondo tank. We actually both really like this.
What was the actual?
2.5.
Okay.
We both actually really like this card. The artwork's really
Hilarious.
The artwork's really funny.
Look at him. They're so scared.
It's also a trick. It's our first. Is it our first hero trick, or no? Bamboozle's a trick.
Yeah.
So it's a Cripple Authority. It's a 2-cost hero aggression 4 cores, I believe in. You draw a card, and then each opponent who controls more resources than you discards a card from their hand. We're starting to see one of my favorite archetypes, Hand Discard, coming up, and this is actually a really, really good one.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit coming along with a couple of decks trying it, especially those double yellow, double cunning decks coming in with the Bodhi Rook, and Cunning and Sparkle Rebellion. You've seen us play around with that, and also the Hand Discard deck that was kind of going around. This is a fantastic card. This is a card.
So cool.
One of the biggest things about Hand Discard is you're losing as many cards as they are when you're playing those cards. But at the end of the day, this says no.
It's actually really brutal to use against an opponent because, on turn 2, they could spend their whole turn resupplying, and then you just go, okay, pay 2, you're 2 cards down.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be brutal.
Also, it punishes ramping, and it punishes smuggle, which I think is a big thing. And another thing as well with tech, you can resupply constantly every turn. Because you resupply, it replaces the top card, and then it just goes back to your resources for 5, so you can just keep doing it every turn for 5 with tech. So that's pretty wacky.
Don't think that's worth it, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, right? But I think that most importantly, we've seen, and for those of you at home, you're like, but Ramp's not that. It is. It's literally so. Even the control decks constantly resource past where you would. And a lot of decks can comfortably sit at 6 to 7. So I'm very much looking forward to making a hand control deck utilizing cards like this and punishing decks that are like... Because the decks that want to ramp are decks that get punished by Hand Discard. Absolutely. So I'm very excited for it. I give this card a 3 out of 5. Crafty Smuggler is really good.
Crafty is really good. What if it could also do something and be more versatile?
What if Robot?
What if Robot?
This is L337 Droid Revolutionary. This is Lando Calrissian. Lando Calrissian's droid from the movie Han Solo, and I believe the droid revolutionary who wants to free all droids, but also becomes the Falcon's computing chip in that movie. I haven't really watched Solo in a while. I'm very keen to rewatch it because I love Donald Glover.
It is a 2-cost cunning heroism unit, 2/2 underworld droid, and its ability is when played, you may rescue a captured card. Fantastic. We'd love to see it. Really, or if you don't, put a shield on it. Make it a crafty smuggler.
And it has smuggle 4 cunning heroes, so you can save her for later. You can play her in the early game and make her a crafty smuggler. Like, all in all, that's really good versatility.
It's a very versatile card on top of a card that we already know is good.
And something that made me very happy is in the stream, Tyler mentioned, he said, wouldn't it be great if there was a leader who reduced the cost of your smuggles? So I don't know if that's a bit on the nose, but hopefully we get to see a leader. And, I'm just saying, hopefully it's Lando. So I think this card's actually really good. I think this is a huge buff to hero because let's just take it from the stuff we know. Jin. Mono Yellow Jin can now have 6 crafty smugglers. I don't know about you guys. In a meta that's about to get taken over by, or introduce the dynamic of capture, having a cheap card that removes it or a cheap card that gets a shield if you're not, that's just value no matter which way you look at it. She's a 4.5 out of 5, no doubt. You've been excited to talk about this.
I've been excited to talk about this one. I think the art on this one is fantastic. I really like the art on this one. This is First Light. It is a 7-cost vigilance villainy. It is a 4/7 underworld vehicle transport. And it has grit. Fun. And then, what if all your other friendly units non-leader units had grit as well?
Well, that would be really good.
Yeah, so just go and give you all of them.
All of them?
Yep.
All of them?
This is Krennic's favorite card.
This is Krennic's ship now.
This is Krennic's favorite card.
It's Krennic's whip. It's his little ride.
He's sitting there with his 4/1 Death Trooper, and you go, but what if it was a 6/1 Death Trooper instead?
Sure, Krennic. Whatever you want, pal.
Like, giving everything grit is just so good. It can add so much damage, especially if you're sitting there. You've got the Academy Defense Walker giving +1 to all your damaged units. You're giving them all grit.
It's a good thing that this card doesn't have any way to facilitate immediate grit.
No, unless you paid the same cost for it.
Oh, okay. From Smuggle?
From Smuggle, and instead dealt 4 to a friendly unit to...
Notably, you can't deal the damage to this unit. They did confirm that. So before you play it, has to deal damage to another unit as a cost.
Yep.
Then it can come out. And another thing, I just want to interrupt you, which I've done a lot this episode, because I think you're going to like this. Tyler said that each other friendly non-leader unit gains grit is a sentence he has written quite often in the last couple of years working on it. Not often in the sense of that, but more than you'd think, he said. So that's
something.
That's something. But this is
good.
This is just good, right? Like this is if you're running mono blue Krennic and you put protector on this. Put protector on it. Okay, here's my 4/7s. Here's my 5/8 space grit sentinel that gives all of my other cards. Oh, and then just for good measure, I'll play. I had a Bendu the turn before now, and of course, he is like huge now because he swung into him, and I've got my Krennic, and he's dragged now. So this is awesome.
It does not give Krennic grit.
Oh, non-leader.
Non-leader.
Krennic doesn't need it.
No.
He's kind of like, mini grit. And then First Light's, but like actual grit. I think this is a really cool card for Mono Blue.
This is also a card that I think has some really interesting applications in stuff like red-blue. I would love to play a red-blue Grand Inquisitor with this because
Classic.
Fifth Brother would have grit and the pseudo grit that he already has, so he would get 2 damage from each damage that's on him.
And I know what you're thinking out there, naysayer, but then you can't untap him. Guys, you play it, you get 1 swing out of it, then you untap it, and then it's just a threat. That's all it is. It doesn't need to be untapped again because now it's swinging for 6, 5, 7, 8, 10 every time. You don't need to untap it because your opponent just has to get rid of it. Yeah. And then, I spent all my resources getting rid of First Light. Great. I've got a bunch of guys now who don't have grit anymore, so now I can untap them with the Grand Inquisitor. It's just a lose-lose situation for your opponent.
Yep.
You just put your opponent in too tough of a position. Either they spend resources getting rid of the First Light, and then you lose all grit on your guys, but you've still got a bunch of guys to untap and attack with, or they deal with all of your guys, and the whole time that it's happening, you're just smacking their face with a 4/7 in space.
Yep.
So it just puts your opponent in such a lose-lose situation. And I just think this set's so exciting for GI.
Yeah.
I once again think this is a really good card. I think that a lot of power is going to come from it. I give it a 5 out of 5 because I just think it's a huge bomb. I think if you get this in draft, it's whack. I I think if you build around this, it's whack, and it complements stuff we've already got.
We're very close to the end. A little bit
close,
more to
so
go.
close.
Couple more cards.
3 more cards.
3 more cards. The next one is Gentle Giant. Is a 6-cost of Vigilance Heroism card. Is a 2/8 Wookiee with grit. We talked about how good grit is. This is just as good. But on the other side of it, this says on attack, you may heal damage from another unit equal to the damage. You have 4 damage on this. You're swinging in for 6. You're healing 4 damage off another unit. This is honestly fantastic.
I like them because if you get 2 of them out and they like pile up damage, you can then just like swing with one and just like heal the damage from the other, and they can just start like be little Wookiees healing each other. The artwork on this is actually incredible. I think it's really, really nice.
Yeah, it is
artwork.
really nice artwork.
This card's really cool. I don't know how I feel about it being a 6-cost, but honestly, I really want to try this out in a Chewbacca deck.
I mean, Mono Blue loves this. You put Sentinel on
Yeah.
this, and it's just, oh, I had Chewbacca leader, but a unit.
Really cool. I honestly,
Very, very cool.
honestly really like this. And notably as well, again, it was mentioned, I think, someone mentioned it. I think Xander might have mentioned it in the stream that Wookiee is going to get a little bit of support, and there's even going to be, and a lot of them have grit, and that there's even going to be a card that mentions your Wookiees get to get X or do this, so that's going to be really, really cool. So I give this card a 3 out of 5.
Next up, we have Spare the Target. This is a 3-cost Cunning Heroism card, and it's good waylay. It's a good waylay. It's a return an enemy unit to its owner's hand, collect the unit's bounty.
Now, for you out there who's about to say, "Oh, but waylay, it's just better. Why would I run waylay again?" This card is limited to hero.
And this card is also limited to your opponents. You cannot waylay your own stuff, which has been something people have been using to get around stuff like Entrenched at the moment.
So all in all, it is limited to hero. You can't bounce your own units, but you do get the added value of collecting the bounty. So I think it's not just better waylay, and this is a good example of what we were talking about
A
earlier.
sideways movement on rather than power
There's
creep.
no straight power creep. It's just an expansion of what we've got before we go up. So
And I think this is going to be a really key thing to be like how this is really going to depend on how good bounties are, whether this is run over waylay.
I think this is going to be a 3 out of 5 because I think that it could go either way.
Speaking of bouncing things back to your hand, and a bit that's been going around in our community for a very, very long time, McClunky!
They made it a card!
The game made it a card.
They made
we now
McClunky
know
a
the
card!
spelling.
Yeah!
We did not know the spelling before because it was not subtitled.
For those of you who don't know, in A New Hope,
2019 re-released version.
they added in a scene where when Han shoots Greedo, before he dies, he says the words McClunky and then dies. This is interesting because if you turn the subtitles on, all the other Hutties and every other word said in the movie has subtitles, except
McClunky.
McClunky has no subtitle, and it just kind of became a weird fringe meme, and we in our group have been doing it for ages. I'm just so glad to see it get a card. It makes me
Underworld
really happy.
Trick. It is a 1-cost
It's also really good.
cunning card that is return a friendly non-leader Underworld unit to its owner's hand. If you do, deal 3 damage to a unit.
Bounce Greedo back.
Deal 3 damage.
Bounce Crafty Smuggler back.
Deal 3 damage.
Bounce Boba back.
Deal 3 damage.
Bounce Bib back.
Deal 3 damage.
Bounce...
Play Jabba. Search for McClunky. Play McClunky for free.
I forgot
Bounce
that.
And back.
And then you
deal
just
3 damage.
search for McClunky again? You pay 4 for McClunky.
Pay 4 to deal 3 damage.
Yeah, pay 4, deal 3 damage, but you have to say McClunky.
McClunky.
Genuinely though, this actually has some really good application.
No, absolutely. It actually really does.
So like, genuinely being able to swing 3 into base with Greedo and bouncing him back to deal 3 is really good. Actually being able to essentially deal 5 damage with the Crafty Smuggler. Being able to use this with Bib is really good because you can tap Bib, bounce him, and just get a free 3 damage out and then replay Bib. Like, especially if someone's swinging into them. Oh, cool. Swing my Crafty Smuggler into your unit. You could even go surprise strike for 5 damage into your Darth Vader, and then bounce your Crafty Smuggler back and kill him with McClunky.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of ways to
No
be able
one
to
is
use
safe
it.
from being cloned.
Yeah. McClunky.
McClunky. It's a 5 out of 5.
Just for the name alone.
It just is a 5. The fact that this card actually got made shows that the devs really love Star Wars as much as we do, and shows that they are willing to just go the extra step to be like, hey guys, this is really funny, check it out. I love FFG. I love these guys, the designers, these guys, girls. I love them. I love you all of you beautiful people who make these cards for us. You are the best.
That is all we have. That is all the time that we have.
We're free!
Over time, we've gone through all the cards. Expect this every single week because we're getting more and more and more and more and more cards coming up.
It's like a really cool curse. I'm really happy with it.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out the gameplay. Enjoy your store showdown.
We love you.
Bye.